let's get to work as we welcome a gentleman who has been on this program before, I believe, and the Saturday morning program as well, the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online. I believe he's still convener of the Jamaica Diaspora Technology Task Force. He can update us if we need updating. It's been a while since we spoke with him on air. He's also president of the Palisados Foundation, chief technical officer, co-founder of Colivor, and he joins us now to tell us more. Peter Harrison, welcome home. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Today.
It's a pleasure to have you on board here, both sides of the story. Power 106 FM. What's your story, first of all, in terms of your roots here in Jamaica?
As you mentioned, I am a Jamaican. I went to school in Jamaica. I went to UWI, and I got a degree in engineering. And then after starting a family, I left the island to help fix a global software engineering bug. And at the time, it was around 1999, they were looking for people from all around the world to fix this bug, as it needed to be fixed everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I put my hand up, and that eventually led me to have roles at United Airlines, Netflix, eBay, Google. At Netflix, I helped to launch their video streaming service in the USA. And then I left Google to start my own business, which was Colivor, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's a data center business, and we've been lucky. We've been very successful. And we once had a supercomputer inside our building that was in the top 30 in the world. And so now, after having some of these successes, I'm now trying to give back to Jamaica.
And how are you doing this? Because I just mentioned a foundation, Palisados Foundation. Is that the organization through which you're looking to give back to Jamaica, or you have been giving back to Jamaica?
Yes, it is. So the Palisados Foundation, we created it in 2016, and I worked with a number of others in the Jamaica diaspora, mostly people who are in the IT profession. And we are trying to find ways to provide new avenues for developing Jamaicans in tech businesses and trying to develop talent as well. And the foundation, we do this through a number of programs that try to create increased awareness of the island's abilities in the global marketplace. And one of the things that one of the ways in which we do this is through an annual summer program for students in Jamaica. It's called the Calico Challenge. Mm-hmm. And we have been very successful with it. We've had almost 30 students passing through, and it's been used by many. The students have gone on to work for many companies in Jamaica, and they continue to support us year after year, which is really good.
Well, back up a bit and just give us a little more, please, on the Palisados Foundation's Calico Challenge.
Right. So the Calico Challenge, and it helps Jamaica in a number of ways. It's a program where we offer students summer work to work on some of our projects, our software projects. The work is supported by a Jamaican-based mentor who knows something about software. And we provide summer stipends, or essentially a small payment for work done by the students when they reach some predefined milestones. And the projects are all open source. And for those who are not familiar with what open source means, is that it's available so that anybody can see it. And they can see who did what, when, where, why, how. And it allows the students to show the quality of their work to potential employers. It's very similar to you writing something and putting it away in a filing cabinet. Nobody sees what's inside that filing cabinet. But if you do it open source, it's equivalent of putting that same piece of work in a library, and so anybody can go down to Tom Redcom, take a look at things and see what's happening there. So that's the whole idea behind what we're trying to do, to make it more transparent, to make it easier for companies to understand the quality of Jamaican software engineering students, and then also for the students to show their work to the world as well. And we're getting more and more recognition at an international level, and it's really, really great for us. We've had sponsors who have been working with us throughout the years. These include NCB, JPS, the Grace Kennedy Foundation, JMMB, Vertex Technologies, Simtai, Rail Decoy. And the programs that we're working on now, the project is we were focusing on a mobile app.
Sorry, before you go to the mobile app, I'm just anxious to get a sense of how you have set about identifying these students. Who are these students? How do they become eligible to be part of the Palisados Foundation's Calico Challenge?
That's a good question. Our website, which is palisados.org, has a link to the Calico Challenge. The deadline for 2022 has already passed, but we're always looking for people to work with in preparation for 2023. For the most part, we have an application form that is available on the site. If you go to palisados.org/calico, you can download the application form, you can fill it in. And for what we are looking for, people who are active as software developers, for them to show us some of their work and to make proposals as to how they feel that they can add new features or new benefits to what we've done already, and then for them to then implement those changes over the summer. So we've been working with them on that for some time.
Is age a factor?
Generally speaking, no. The projects that we have had generally tend to be a little more advanced, and so that usually we're finding students who would be either maybe in this later in the sixth form area, or first year in a college such as Portmore Community College, NCU, UCC, UWI, and many others, in which we're dealing with people either on the verge of leaving the secondary school system and wanting to launch themselves out into the working world.
Yeah, and how would you say the foundation's Calico Challenge has impacted Jamaica? Has the impact been obvious and felt enough for you to get a sense of what this means to these Jamaicans and Jamaica?
Yes, it has been really, really good for in a number of different ways. So we've had students that have graduated. One of them went off to do a PhD program in Canada. Many have moved up into junior and senior management roles within the Jamaican software industry right at the moment, in many cases with our sponsors as well. The work that they have done has been used in their various job applications, scholarship applications, university applications as well. And we managed to get the attention of Google last year, and Google has their own similar program, and we managed to be a participant in their Google Summer of Code program for both 2021 and 2022. And in that, Jamaicans, our Jamaican mentors, the ones that are overseeing the students, have been working for the past 2 years with international students on the software that we're working with. And this software, remember, was created by Jamaicans in the first place. And now Jamaicans are managing international people, which is quite often the reverse of the expectation.
Yes.
We always hear of people from abroad helping out with the software systems and the IT systems. In this case, we've turned the tables. It's the opposite way around. We are the ones showing people how to get things done, and it's been very, very good. The fact that we've been recognized by Google, and also we've been recognized by Microsoft twice as well in various other programs. And the Jamaican IT professionals have stepped up in many, many different ways to help us out. and we're trying to see how we can make this into a very sustainable program, not just today, but into the future. We've had a track record since 2016.
Very.
And we're really looking forward to see how this can move on.
Very, very impressive. Hold it there. Let's take a break and come back with more. Good afternoon to Nicole Morgan of the Early Childhood Commission and Mr. Leo Gilling of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, who have been waiting in the wings, coming to you guys. Bear with us, coming to you in a moment. Just extending the time to ensure that we cover this very, very important work that is being done by a Jamaican. And you know how excited we get when it comes on to Jamaican doing great work. And so our very special guest is convener of the Jamaica Diaspora Technology Task Force, president of the Palisados Foundation, chief technical officer, co-founder, Colivor, a man who has worked with some of the top tech entities you can think of in the world. Mr. Harrison, remind me, Netflix, Google, a couple of them, to name a few.
That's correct.
Yes. And so coming back from the break now, wanted to get an idea from you with respect to, and if you leave it up to me, I'll take all afternoon, because obviously I'm a fan of technology as well. I love to hear about these things, but bear with me a bit as I try to find out from you at this time the project you mentioned earlier on, which we didn't come around to at the time, the Talawa project. Can you tell us about the Talawa project itself, which is used in the Calico Challenge?
Certainly. If I start with Talawa, I just want to make a minor correction.
Sure.
I used to be the president of the Diaspora Technology Task Force. That, I believe, is now in the hands of Lachlan Morley, who is a good friend of mine.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, but the work that the task force does is exceptional, and I wholeheartedly endorse what it does. So let me go back to the Talawa app. It was originally written by Jamaican students. It's now gone global, like I mentioned before, with the Google and the Microsoft recognitions that I mentioned.
Right.
It's a mobile app, and it helps manage community organizations. So when I say community organizations, what exactly does that mean? In the Jamaican context, you could think of a church. And so it's social. It has a lot of social media features in there. But unlike Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc., it's completely under the control of the organization itself. So your church or your community organization would be managing things like the news feed, the calendar events, the venue management, project management, etc. So one of the features that it has is that, say for example, we're talking about a church. You decide to have some sort of a calendar event, like a choir practice or some sort of a barbecue. You can then reserve rooms or fields or halls or whatever as a part of that event. Everybody that you invite to the event will automatically be entered as a part of a group chat, so that everybody can start talking about it. You don't have to remember who to put into WhatsApp or whatever. It's all there. And then the person who sets up the calendar event can then assign certain people roles for that event. So, for example, if it's a wedding, and you invite everybody to the wedding, you can say that this person is going to be responsible for the cake, this person for the flowers, this person for the pasta, this person for the church venue itself. And so everybody in the chat will be able to know who's responsible for what. So it automatically helps with the organization of the event itself. And we thought that this would be a very powerful feature that many organizations would really like to have. And so I mentioned that we have the group chat, and then we also have the ability to take in advertising. So the local businesses, instead of having to create like an Instagram account or Facebook account, they would just have a relationship with the local church, and they would provide them with like this little video or the image file that could then be put into the news feed or for the consumption of the people in the congregation. So that's really the types of things that we're doing. And for this year, we're working on various other things to make it more and more reliable, to add more features to it. And we're hoping that by the end of summer, we'll be able to start having some organizations start to test it out for themselves to see whether it is worthwhile.
And this is, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to ask if this was part of the Google Summer of Code participant.
Yes, it is. So it started out with Calico, and when we said that we felt that Tallow, which was created by Jamaicans, was good enough for Google, and it was good enough for Microsoft, and they said, yes, it is good enough for us. Mm-hmm. And so we have the same international students working side by side with the Jamaicans who started out the code in the first place. We have international students asking Jamaicans for help on some of the work that we're doing. And that is really, you talk about how does this benefit Jamaica. It proves without a doubt that Jamaicans are very capable of creating world-class software that is recognized by world-class companies, and that it's not just talk. You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can use it in a way that in many cases you do not have that opportunity. And we are working with the JPDA, the Jamaica Tech and Digital Association, and we're working with Jamaica developers as well, and some major sponsors to try and see how we can create a project in which we make this a long-term goal as a collaboration with multiple non-profit organizations in Jamaica to help Jamaica become more competitive in this. I know that many people talk about the offshoring and the call center business, and there's always talk that at some point Jamaica is going to have capabilities that is beyond the current levels.
Yes.
And this is one of the ways in which we could potentially get us there. This is a pilot project. We're working to try and make it a mainstream project for 2023, and I'm very encouraged by the responses that I'm getting from Jamaican companies.
Yes.
And the fact that they are going to be holding doing a lot of the management on our behalf.
Excellent, excellent. This is great news. Now, you're a member of the board of the American Registry of Internet Numbers, or ARIN, A-R-I-N. What is ARIN, and how important is it to Jamaica and the Caribbean?
That's another really good question. So ARIN is an organization, and its members include internet companies throughout the English-speaking countries of the Americas. So that would be Barbados, Trinidad, Bahamas, the United States, and many others. And what ARIN does is that it manages a key part of the internet phone book. So just like you take up a phone book and you look for somebody's name and you see the number, that's so that when, for example, you type in google.com in your browser, the phone number, or the equivalent of a phone number behind the scenes, is unknown to you, right? And ARIN makes sure that that is unknown to you in various ways. So we make sure that there's no duplicate numbers so that you don't call two people at the same time. We make sure that the information in the phone book is correct. We make sure that the data in the phone book is held safely and securely, and that the changes are not made without with the correct type of authorizations. But also, ARIN also helps with economic development. And the way that we do that is that we try to promote greater internet stability and greater resiliency. And what do I mean by that? What we try to do is that we try, wherever necessary, to encourage businesses, regions, and countries to have a backup path for their internet. And so we want to make sure that those backup paths are one that are up to the task when it's needed, and that backup happens automatically. And so why is that important for the Caribbean? we have many natural disasters that occur many times throughout the year, and impacting many of the member nations of ARIN. And one of the things that we always wonder about when there are, for example, just recently we had a volcanic eruption in St. Vincent. We've had hurricanes that blow ships around and their anchors cut internet cabling. You want to make sure that you have more than one way to get to the island, because as we all know, when you don't have internet, there is no way to get in contact with countries, organizations, or different methods to get assistance in those particular cases. And we're not just talking about that at the island or the country level, but also in the Jamaican context at the levels of the ISPs for digital and for Digicel and Flow, so that they have those sorts of resilience actions, not just at their major points, but also at the cell towers, etc. And we're trying to make sure that everybody understands the importance of this, so that we have the internet when we need it most, and that we can make sure the internet is stable and can handle the challenges of growth as well. And we, as ARIN, make sure that those things are always taken care of. It's a fairly large organization. We have thousands of members, and we're doing really good stuff, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
How did you get involved in terms of being on the ARIN board?
A number of years ago, there was an ARIN conference in Jamaica, and Caribbean representatives of the various ISPs went up to the microphone and said, "Where are we? Where are the Jamaicans? Where are the Barbadians? Where are the Vincentians, Antiguans, etc.? We don't see you. We don't see you on the various committees. We don't see ourselves on the committees. We don't see ourselves on the board. And yet you're talking about creating internet policies that impact us, and we don't have a seat at the table." And that really set off a series of events in which parents started to have major introspections as to who they were and how they were serving their community. And at around that time, I decided to put myself up as a nominee for the Board of Trustees. And I won.
All right.
I spoke to my various Caribbean...
On that winning note, just hold it right there. Let's just come back and wrap. We have a question or two left to ask you before we wrap. Listeners, our very special guest is Peter Harrison, and he's representing the Palisadoes Foundation. That's the foundation that stages the Calico Challenge, which is part of the... And Palisadoes Foundation has been selected as a Google Summer of Code participant. And we're learning so much. One moment, please. The long and short of it, our guest, Peter Harrison, is helping to upskill our tech workers. And we've had the discussion in Jamaica over and over again. People say, yes, we understand, we get it, that a lot of Jamaicans, young people, young Jamaicans are being employed in the call centers, or more broadly the outsourcing, business process outsourcing sector. And then we bemoan the fact that, well, we need to have, for us to really benefit and in any significant way as far as the economy is concerned, we have to upskill our young people and our people in general, so that they can take advantage of the high-paying jobs, and we can have operations in Jamaica which provide more opportunities for those of us who are looking to move up that value chain, so to speak. And so you won, as you said. We were going to the break, and you mentioned Peter Harrison, that position of being a member of the board of ARIN, the American Registry of Internet Numbers. I think you are finished or just about wrapped on that subject.
I more or less.
Yes.
I just wanted to outline some stuff that I've been doing at ARIN.
Sure.
The reason why I'm talking about these things is because I really want to inspire people to take the initiative, and it's really important. I didn't think at the time that I had a chance, and I did get through. And I've been on the board for my second term at the moment, and now I'm the chair of the Risk and Cybersecurity Committee and the chair of the Nominations Committee for the elections that are coming up this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm also on the Governance Committee. So these things can be done. They are achievable. And I strongly recommend people do not have any self-doubt in your abilities. I've had self-doubt in many situations. When I started my company, I wasn't sure whether that was the right thing to do, but I closed my eyes and I jumped in and I asked for help. I made sure that all the various stakeholders that were needed to be a part of the whole thing were engaged from the very beginning. I made sure I had no ego when asking for help. And if people, you know how it is in IT, they talk about different things with lots of acronyms. They say DNS and IPv6.
Yes.
They say things like SNMP and all that sort of stuff. And anytime they came up with all these different types of names and nomenclatures, I just asked the question, explain to me, what exactly is this? I didn't try to fake it. I was very upfront.
Yes.
And I think that has really helped me a lot. And one of the things that I want everybody to understand, and this is really, really important, is that the road to success is not straight. The road to success is the patient pursuit of only partial victories. And so I've gone in various different directions. I was in sales and marketing at one point. I was working in various other fields. The road to my startup was not straight. And I tried a whole bunch of different things, and not everything works out 100% the way I wanted. And so do not give up hope if it doesn't work out exactly the way that you want. Many times success is the adding of partial successes, one on top of the other, until you get to that final victory. And you need to remember that every single day. And, you know, there's that saying, the race is not for the swift, nor the battle for the strong, but those who endure to the end. To make it even simpler, it is the people who win are the last ones to give up.
Yes.
And we always have to remember that. And sometimes you do have to give up and try something else, and that you just say that may be a partial victory. And let's continue until we get to where we need to be so that we get to that success. I speak with Jamaican companies all the time about the quality of Jamaican students and the Jamaican talent that we have. Jamaica does not lack bright and smart people. The students are very capable to get to where they need to be. What we try to do through the programs that we have is to provide them with some real-world experience to gain that confidence. We don't necessarily work in the same types of software that are taught in the schools, but many times when you graduate from school and work for a company, you are hired not because you know one thing, but it's because you know about how to do that thing. And so therefore you'll be expected to shift and change and learn new things to get to what needs to be done. And we have students that have been working with us all the time, and they have achieved great success. Some, maybe one or two of our Calico Challenge participants are now mentors for the Google Summer of Code.
Excellent.
For international students who are coming from places like India, Egypt, Cameroon, you name it. And so Jamaicans, without any exceptions, Jamaicans need to understand what we're doing, what we can do, and we need to be proud of what we have managed to achieve. Because too often people say that we cannot do it, and we are doing it in our own understated ways. And now we're getting recognized in this one particular area from international organizations that nobody can deny our international and our global leaders. I mean, you have to take your hat off to Jamaicans in this one. I have to say it over and over again.
Absolutely. And sound advice as well in terms of those who are looking to succeed in the IT industry. They might end up trying multiple areas and eventually finding your feet. And you might fail, but the problem is not failing, it's what you do after that and how you come back, etc. How can those listening to us who are intrigued, fascinated by all that you've shared with us so far, Peter Harrison, how can they connect? How can they find more information? Where can they turn? Where can they go?
They can go to our website. It's palisados.org, and there's a contact form there, and you can send us your information, and we will usually respond to you fairly quickly. There are almost all the major IT companies in Jamaica have heard of us. They know of us or know of somebody who knows of us. So if you're not 100% sure, you can ask them face to face about their opinions of it and how to get in contact with people. There are lots of Jamaicans that are involved with it right now. We have 20 mentors for the Google Summer of Code, so that's 20 Jamaican IT professionals for the most part helping out. So there's a large group to consider, but the first place I would go to would be to the website, and then from there we see what happens after that. We're working for various types of things, not just the coding, but for documentation, for the UI, UX, which is the user experience, the design of things, and there's other areas. And the Taloa app, we think, is something that students, if they start getting involved with it, or even IT professionals, Jamaicans themselves, can start contributing to it, adding new features, so that it's more usable to the churches that we want to make this work in. And the actual people, the members of the churches, if they have that IT ability or that programming curiosity, then they can be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent,
So
excellent.
If you're curious, that's going to be important for us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So there's the palisados.org for starters. We can go to palisados.org and we can download the Taloa app, you said?
Yes, there are links. There are links there. At the moment, it is it's what we call at an alpha stage. It's not quite where.
Not the finished article just yet.
Not quite. It's good for demos, but it's not quite the real thing yet. What we're trying to do is to make sure that it's the real thing by the end of summer, when we have this, when we complete with the Google Summer of Code. It's looking that way more and more so by the minute, by the hour, by the day.
Right. And I would imagine that the Google Summer of Code is very competitive.
Yes, it is. We managed to organizations such as like Firefox and Android and Chrome, many of these large software projects are a part of it, and we were I think we're one of a number of maybe in a couple hundred organizations that are participating in it, and that has been really good for us. There's another thing I wanted to mention. We do have a YouTube channel. There are some demos that you can look at. If you go through the YouTube channel as well, you'll see what it can do. And there's some of the videos are a little technical, but there's some that just say demo, and you'll be able to see some of the capabilities of it, which I think would be very enlightening.
So when
people who want to get information.
When we go to YouTube, what do we type? Palisados again? Palisados?
Yes.
Okay.
The Palisados Foundation. And we will be there. We have about 50 or 60 videos that people can look at, and some of them actually have demos of the Taloa app.
Right, so listeners, if you want to learn a little bit more of the work of the Palisados Foundation, you can go to YouTube. Just when you get to YouTube, type Palisados Foundation, Palisadoes. That's Palisadoes, Palisados Foundation. And you can also go to palisados.org. That's palisados.org. And notwithstanding the alpha stage, you can also check out the Taloa app. Right, Peter Harrison?
That's correct. If you are an IT software professional and you want to be a part of this, we will accept anybody. We want to get this thing off the ground. and we're almost there. And the more help we can get, the better. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk about this because it's really important for Jamaica and our standing in the IT world.
Well said, well put, and congratulations to you, Peter Harrison, on the work that you continue to do. We definitely look forward to tracking your progress. So every time there's a development, whenever you're ready to go public, you know where to find us.
I do. I'm Power 106.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Take care and all the very best.
All the best to you and Jamaicans. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Peter Harrison is a well-known Jamaican techie software developer. He has worked with all the big names you can think of. And he's not leaving Jamaica behind. He's taking us with him, this Jamaican man. Yes, indeed. We're very proud of him. Peter Harrison. Well done. More in a moment.